All right, we're going to start our tour of tropical forests with tropical dry forests. Now, I want to start there because these are forests that these are tropical forests that may not be the first ones to come to mind, but they're really cool. Uh, as the name implies, dry tropical forests have a distinct dry season. When you're down in these areas in the dry season, I think it will remind you of a place like California, which also has a pronounced dry season. Many tropical dry forests, the dry period also corresponds to the cooler part of the year, which is different than San Luis Obispo and similar places. These are highly seasonal forests in terms of precipitation. Again, they're tropical, so their temperature varies less than the how rainy a particular season is. As a result, most of the trees are deciduous. They lose their leaves at some point, and in these forests, this is a water conservation strategy. Um, these forests are abundant in Mexico. They're a really distinct part of the landscape there, of the landscape of the nation, as well as abundant in Africa, and elsewhere in the world. They're often relatively short-statured forests that grow slowly, that end up with kind of a moderate to low biomass. But don't let those things lead you astray. These are important forests in their own right, because they produce a lot of natural resources that are important to local communities and sustain other critical ecosystem services. Okay, so just here's a map of the New World, the distribution of these forests, and the main point I want to make here is just they're fairly widespread within the tropics. There's lots of different places that can be typified this way. This photo is from Oaxaca, Mexico. Pretty good illustration of the forest, not especially tall. There's numerous leguminous trees. Leguminous trees do well in these forests. One interesting thing about them is that oftentimes, I don't have photos of this, but the inflorescence happens before the rains start. So you'll have this period of the year, you can see this in photographs that you can, pretty easy to find about these forest types. They'll be in just dramatic blooms before the rains start. Here's some more kind of photographs of this. There are evergreen species within these forests. There's also, depending on where you are, a lot of cacti and so forth. And here's something that I always like to point out about them, I think says a lot about these forests. You can have just crazy productivity in these systems. They are not light limited, and oftentimes they're not nutrient limited. So if you can remove the water limitation, productivity can be just through the roof. Here's an example in some deep alluvial soils. These are some taxoides species. This is L. thule. It's the tree with the largest diameter. It's the champion tree in terms of diameter. It's actually multiple trees that grew together. Really high productivity, and as I say, deep alluvial soils where water is not limiting, water is available all year. And if you take that away, there's plenty of energy and so forth, and you can have really great productivity. This is in a town. This is in the center of a town, in a park in a town, and it's really wild. But it's got the right soils, and in the environment, it's the one. Like I say, you remove the water limitation, productivity can skyrocket.